Welcome back to Questing Beast. I'm Ben, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tower of the Stargazer by James Edward Raggi IV. So James Raggi is the creator of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, and this particular book is designed to be an introduction to LotFP and to role-playing in general. So it's very interesting in that it presents an introductory adventure, but it also gives a lot of GM commentary as you go, which is really rare in these sorts of books, and I think should be more common. So let's take a look through it and see if he accomplishes what he set out to do. Here's our back page. And we have a cover by Mullen, Peter Mullen, I believe. Yep, who's a great old school artist. My main criticism here is that the colors are very dull and muted, which actually makes it very difficult to see what's going on here. But it's a couple of mercenaries or adventurers ascending some steps up to what looks like a wizard's tower being struck by lightning. So moving along to the inside, we see we have some author's notes here, and he has some main design goals, which are listed right at the beginning. This adventure should be simple and easy enough to work as an introductory adventure for new players, be challenging enough to be an enjoyable adventure for experienced players, and also be an example to new referees about how to design and run adventures, which is a great goal to have. So this is definitely an old school adventure in the sense that it's very unforgiving, and it requires players to be intelligent and thoughtful rather than charging in and just trying to kill everything. A smart player will win over a powerful character every time. And a great little thing that he does here is that he has these bits of box text, and the box text is the author talking to you, the game master, talking about what he was thinking, ways that you can challenge your players, different things that showed up during the play testing of this campaign, which is all really fantastic. There are far too few RPG books where the author actually talks to you about what they were thinking. It gives you some great insight into design and into how to run the adventure. We have a short adventure background, and basically this entire adventure takes place inside a wizard tower. Our map is at the back of the book here. It's a very cleanly laid out, very functional map. And my only complaint is, as always, that the map should have all of the rooms labeled at the very least. Preferably, I would like to see some more notes about briefly what's in each room. There's definitely enough room here where you could add labels for each of these rooms with like arrows pointing to them. And I really would have liked to see that. It would have made the whole thing easier to run. However, there are fan-made versions of this map that do make things a bit easier, I believe. And I'll put a link to those down in the description below if I can find them. So moving on, we have the tower, which is a large tower that attracts lightning and is being used by a wizard to power his nefarious instruments and devices. But no one has seen the wizard in quite some time. So as you explore the tower, you're going to have to figure out what happened to him. There's a lot of very deadly traps here, but for the most part, it's things where you shouldn't be touching it, right? You should be able to understand that this is a dangerous place. Anyone who has come here has not come back again, and so you should assume your environment is dangerous and act accordingly. The art, by and large, is not my favorite. It's very sketchy and kind of vague. It doesn't give you a very clear sense of what things look like. So I'm not a big fan of the art on the inside, although in general I do like Peter Mullen stuff. Now, a great little example of an encounter here is that you eventually do find the wizard as you explore the tower. And the wizard is just standing there. He's inside a summoning circle, and he's been trapped there. And there's a whole backstory for how he got there, but ultimately that's irrelevant. What's important is that he's trapped there. He can talk to you, and he wants to get out of this circle that's entrapped him, but he can't. He can't without your help. So it's a pure dialogue type encounter, right? There's no real combat here necessarily. As long as he stays in the circle and you don't help him leave, you're fine. And if you let him go, he'll probably reward you and just send you on your way quickly. But if you refuse, he will get angrier and angrier and angrier. Or if you release him and then don't leave right away, he will get angry and unleash the full power of his wrath against you, which is considerable. This is a high-level wizard. The smart player, however, will realize that letting this wizard go from this circle may not be the best solution, and leave him there and proceed to try and loot the tower. We have a levitation shaft, which is basically an elevator that goes up and down through all the different levels of the tower. frozen storage, a study room, a library, and so on. A great little thing here is that virtually every room in this tower has something interesting in it. There isn't a lot of blank, empty rooms that just have, debris or furniture. There's something interesting that's going to pique your interest and that you can tamper with in almost every room. There's a lot of player challenges as well. For example, you can find a ghost, and the ghost is going to challenge you to a game. In the playtest, this was chess. However, chess does take a long time, so the author recommends that perhaps you do something a little bit more fast than chess. But it has these little mini games where the actual player is challenged rather than the character, which is very old school and can be quite a nice twist for more new school players when they realize that they have to be smart. An Eldritch library full of interesting books. We have a telescope full of all sorts of crazy things that you can do with it, possibly very deadly to the players, but also just opens up a level of wonder to the campaign that I think was really refreshing. We have a trap room. We have a treasure room, a workshop full of lots of different types of liquids that do all sorts of horrible things to you depending on what you drink. We have random crates with random tables, so you can create the label that's on the crate. For example, the spine of a musician who sold happiness. Right? So you can create all sorts of weird labels for what's in these crates. A workshop full of all sorts of strange things that you can tamper with. Some cells that have a couple of just gonzo things. For example, there's a skeleton with 16 arms or so, and it's not explained why it's there. And I like things like that thrown into adventures where you have a lot of strangeness or just a little bit of strangeness, and it isn't really explained. So the players are going to start basically creating a backstory themselves. They're going to start wondering how it got there and put together their own history. And we have a treasure room. The treasure room is very interesting. It's designed like this down here, where there's a whole ton of treasure at this end of the room with some impassable energy fields in the way. And there's some levers here, and you have to manipulate the levers in the correct way in order to be able to pass through. So there's definitely a puzzle element there. All in all, I think this is a great little starting adventure. It's quite inexpensive. It's very easy to run, and the GM advice that is put into those text boxes is a really great touch. Especially if you're a new GM and you're new to old school role playing, it's great to see someone who has a lot of experience in that talk to you very freely about what they were thinking and things that you might do as a GM. It doesn't answer all of your problems either. For example, he'll say, now, here's a couple things you can do, but ultimately it's up to you. Why is this thing here? I don't know. You get to make that up. It really enforces that as the GM, you are in charge of this game, and your creativity should be an essential part of it, which is something I really like. Well, that's it for this review. If you enjoyed this and would like to pick it up for yourself, I will put a link down in the description below where you can get it in PDF form for a quite cheap price, or you can order it in physical form from Lamentations of the Flame Princess if you prefer it that way. So stay tuned for next week, next Wednesday, where I will be reviewing Vagabonds of Dyfed, which is a recently kickstarted book that combines Powered by the Apocalypse rules with old school role playing. I'm very curious to see if it's able to pull it off, since those two styles of play are often very opposed to each other in a lot of ways. So I'm curious to see how this hybridization, if you will, was done. It looks like a very interesting book, and I'm really eager to give it a shot. Remember to subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit that bell icon if you want to be reminded when I put out new videos. Thanks as always to my patrons for supporting the channel and keeping this whole enterprise going. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys later.